Ready?
Yeah.
All right, all right. Alrighty then, and it looks like we are live. How's it going today, guys?
It's going great.
Good, good. Looks like we got a few viewers already. Before we start, to everybody joining us, welcome to Brony Debates Live. This is where we pick a topic. It can be any topic, and everybody is welcome to submit a topic if there's something you'd like to hear me and my friends discuss. Big shout out to my Patreon supporters, especially those at the $10 and up tiers. These would be Autoknight, Sodden Girder, Senko, Jennan Kellogg, Kyle Christensen, Mike's Geek World, the Equestrian City Heroverse series, and with me yet again, DJ Skywalker right there in the middle of the frame. How are you doing today, DJ?
I'm here.
Good, good.
I think.
Yep. And to the left, the black and purple griffin. In fact, I would dare say the original Black Griffin, even if not as musically talented. One of my oldest friends in the Brony fandom, Skan120. How are you doing today, Skan?
Doing great.
Good, good. So, we're here today because somebody in my Patreon Discord server wanted to hear us talk about who the best villain is. So let's start with you, Skan. Who is the best villain?
As far as doing what they wanted to do in a clever way, I'd say Erick.
Erick? Okay, why is that?
What was that?
Why Erick?
Because when he isn't strong enough to get what he wants, he does it through tricks.
Okay.
And when he finally has everything, he's pretty much only taken down by a Deus Ex Machina.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, Deus.
Yep, that's what you're looking for. Okay, that's understandable. Definitely took a lot to take him down. DJ, what do you think?
I'm leaning more on Starlight myself.
Yeah, why Starlight?
She's kind of a little bit more on the master manipulator bit. None of hers was really through brute force. It was always through some kind of messing with your mind or doing something completely out of left field.
Okay, so what kind of left field shenanigans did she pull?
Well, she has been the first and so far only to try time travel to take out everyone, and that's what everyone always says. Let's go back in time and kill the world's greatest leader, kill the world's worst leaders when they're young, and that's basically what she did, in a sense.
Alrighty then. So, I'm gonna pull a curveball on you guys. I'll bet you everybody listening is expecting me to go with King Sombra, and he's definitely very close, but perhaps it's just the particular day I'm feeling Cozy Glow is the best.
How did I know you were going to say that?
I don't know. Because I gave it too much time to ramp up. I played into it too much. So, Cozy Glow, I'd say, is an even better manipulator than Starlight is. And where Starlight could be reasoned with, Cozy Glow just doesn't budge. And because of that, and because she's so flawlessly able to integrate her sociopathy to her persona, she really did pull a victory on there. She manipulated way more people than Starlight ever did, and she had actually won. Now, Skan called the Rainbow Powers defeating Erick a Deus Ex Machina, and I'm not quite sure about that in terms of how I understand what a Deus Ex Machina is, but the only reason that Cozy Glow didn't win was because the Tree of Harmony just said no. Everybody was up against a wall. Everybody was trapped in Tartarus, trapped in some kind of suspended animation. The school completely turned against everybody we would consider a protagonist. And, the only reason she got stopped was because the Tree of Harmony just said, nope, we're not doing this. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about that, Skan?
Could say that, but I don't know, it just didn't stick with me as much what she did. I'm trying to remember too much. What is it? What was her end goal again?
She thought that by... Sorry, pardon me, I got a little frog in my throat. She thought by controlling friendship that she could have the ultimate power and rule Equestria. So it's a lot more of a perversion than what I would say Erick did, because Erick knew what he was doing. In terms of his manipulation, Cozy Glow knew what she was doing was right. What do you think about that, DJ?
I will give that she pretty much won, except for the Tree of Harmony stepping in. However, had she won, I don't believe it would have sustained itself, because she was already found out by the highest powers in the land. So even if all the magic was gone, she would not have been able to maintain that position.
Okay, so how does that separate her from all the other villains, or Erick or Starlight?
Because I believe that Erick and Starlight could maintain their position of power. Erick had all the power in the land all to himself. He could control things. And with Starlight, it was not just words. She could also put her magic behind it and force people under her will.
That's
but
interesting.
Cozy doesn't have the power behind her belief.
Yeah, I guess I have to give you that. There's really not much that Cozy can do from a physical or magical aspect, being we'll be generous and say teenaged Pegasus filly.
Because once the facade has fallen, like we've been seeing in the most recent episodes, there's not a lot underneath it that's not a child.
Alrighty then. So Skan, what do you think about that?
I agree with what he was saying. Erick, by the end of his thing, he already had control over the whole land, not in a way that he'd lose it. He actually needed to be taken down at that point in order to get it all back. He literally sucked the strength out of them all.
That is certainly a good point. I've been sitting here thinking about it, and I really can't think of a way to defeat Erick without outright overpowering him, which is pretty much what the Rainbow Power did, if I remember correctly. It was just so much that he wasn't able to absorb all of it, or it just was too much, it hit him too hard. Sort of what I can only assume that Discord would have done if Discord had kept him.
Actually, I think I know how it worked.
Yeah.
Remember in the season 9 episode Frenemies, here's some spoilers in case those who haven't watched it. Erick says he can't absorb the magic of non-living beings. The Tree of Harmony that's the magic that is flowing through them. That's the magic that was surrounding them at the time. So the Tree of Harmony is not a living creature, so Erick wouldn't be able to absorb it.
That's interesting. Well, not living in a sense of like the way a pony lives, but it's definitely is like, especially
not a creature, it's a plant.
Yeah, well, especially throughout season 8, where Cozy Glow was starting to come into her own there. That Tree of Harmony is developing a personality, and but maybe it's more like a spirit, like Discord per se, than as much a living being. I don't know.
The magic is growing a consciousness.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be helpful if the thing just didn't have a 1,000-yard stare every time it took on Twilight as an avatar.
It's still learning. It's still learning.
It's still learning. Yep, that's true. So...
Yeah, I would have... I was thinking Starlight too before Erick, but until someone can give a really good explanation where Starlight Glimmer goes every time Twilight changes the future, it's kind of a big gap to even understand what she thinks.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
So every time Twilight changed it, she'd go to the future or whatever, go to the present, and it would be changed. And supposedly every time she went back, that would trigger Starlight's spell, so Starlight would be pulled back before her so she could change it again. Which means Starlight is supposedly in this new timeline seeing everything.
DJ, did you follow that?
It's really weird that she was okay with it.
It is something that's been on a lot of people's minds, but I remember watching Josh Scorcher's review with Inkrose on that episode, and Inkrose pointed out Starlight never goes to the future. She's always left behind until Twilight literally drags her through the portal. It was always Twilight and Spike that kept getting thrown forward in future. So what we would probably see in the future timeline is a future Starlight.
Skan, what do you think about that?
It's still wonky because the way Starlight explains it, they change the past, then they go back to where they were, and then if Twilight tries to go back again, Starlight is pulled back again.
Yeah, so that's...
She's not just chilling there the whole time. She keeps on being dragged back to that moment to keep on interfering.
So what...
And you can't say that she isn't you can't say it's the same one every time, because she's also learning from each of the ways Twilight tries to stop her. She never stops her 2 times the same way.
Let me pose you this possibility here. What if... So... In the future or the present, however you want to look at all those alternate timelines, Twilight never met herself, but we can assume that she would have been around. At least I think that we can assume she would have been around. That a version of herself that's concurrent with that timeline that had never, for whatever reason, met the rest of her main friends there. Was somewhere in the timeline, but we never saw that, partially because it's not relevant to the plot. Otherwise, but what I'm getting at here is maybe the future progressed as it would. Starlight was dragged into the future as well, but she was just somewhere else. Like time progressed normally, Back to the Future style, and whatever changes affected and rippled put her somewhere else where she never became Starlight as we would have expected it. Until Twilight resets the spell, in which case it triggers again, like it's a game of gosh darn Magic the Gathering, and we're back to where we started. What do you think about that?
So wait, are you saying the part of Equestria she's in at that time isn't affected, so she doesn't notice?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I
would agree with you if one of the altered states was the entire place a desolate wasteland.
I mean, that's where they did live.
I know, but it didn't seem like that was a one-town thing. That seemed Erick destroyed everything, so that would include wherever Starlight Glimmer was.
So how does
he destroyed Equestria?
So how does that change my hypothesis that...
So your hypothesis was she didn't notice the drastic changes because even though she's in that present, she's in a different place than Twilight.
Yeah.
But one of those future timelines would be something that would have affected every town in Equestria.
Except for that particular one where they went to and everything was a wasteland. That wasn't Starlight's spell. That was Twilight dragging Starlight to the future, or to the present. That will always confuse the heck out of me, by the way. Dragging Starlight to the present with her so she could see the effect that she was having. What do you think about that?
I think it still has a whole bunch of holes you could probably poke in it.
There's a lot of holes in their time travel.
That they even attempted it was kind of dumb. I mean, even Endgame gets it wrong.
Well, I haven't seen Endgame yet, so I'm gonna defer to someone more experienced than me on that one.
Yeah, but I'm saying if a team with that much resources still has a hard time trying to put into story without gaping holes.
Yeah, time travel as a concept is extremely difficult to work in. So, the second you start getting into time travel, you got a whole lot of problems, especially if you're going for something big and overarching like Cutie Remark. I still to this day think the best example of time travel in any piece of fiction is it wasn't Lesson Zero. It was It's About Time, Season 2.
No, I still have seen problems with that. No, the best time travel I've come across is the author of a series of books called The Dragon Riders of Pern.
Okay. I'll have to look that up. Can you give us a 2-minute breakdown on that concept?
Yeah. I wasn't going to bring up a whole question of that. I was just mentioning a reference to something out there that they come pretty dang close to covering every little angle of time travel.
Interesting. So let's take this little detour then. Let's imagine our top villains here are in their prime. They've got nothing working against them, but they're starting at the same place. So we've got Erick with the ability to absorb magic, Starlight with immense understanding of magic and a fairly decent amount of magical power. We can assume either being able to match or surpass Twilight depending on what you think. And we've got Cozy Glow with an entire community at her behest. How do we think our villains come out on top in that situation? Let's start with DJ for this one.
Okay, so we basically have a 3-on-3 battle royale here?
Yes.
Okay, so with Erick and Starlight, it's kind of a coin flip on it, because I can see how they can fight each other out. Even with Erick at its max power, Starlight can be nimble when she wants to, especially since she can fly with her own magic. I suppose it would have to depend on how far Erick's reach needs to be for him to absorb. All he needs is that quick little bit to catch her, but even then, maybe Starlight can teleport out of it. I don't know. It'd be hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns in that question there, that's for sure. So it would appear as though he needs to at least be in line of sight, but not so far away. Because when he was fighting with Twilight and she teleported to the other end of town, he knew where she was. But I think if he had the ability to just grab her and suck the magic out of her right there, he would have done so. So there's got definitely a bit of a range play in distance there. Do you think Starlight would have been able to generate enough of a magical punch? Because if what I theorized earlier rather is true, then the only way to defeat a powered up Erick is to overpower him yourself. Twilight had her Alicorn magic, Luna, Celestia, and Cadence. and was only able to standstill him in terms of strength after he had absorbed Discord. What do you think about that with, versus just one unicorn?
Well, as strange it is, we have seen Starlight's rather powerful, but she also does have a range of spells from what we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the one that comes to mind is the hyper beam attack she used on Discord.
I still call shenanigans on that.
Where she was able to banish Discord from the realm, basically.
Yeah, that does. I refuse myself to believe that Starlight can overpower Discord, but that's just.
I mean, I
being
lean more that
salty,
he'd let it happen too, but it's still something she is apparently able to do. And T-Rex doesn't seem to be able to cast spells. It seems to be more pure, raw, magical strength. Instead of, like the most we've been able to see is him do levitation as a spell.
Yeah, so he levitates, he shoots, and he absorbs.
And that seems to be the extent of his ability. So I would think it could be close, and I could see it going either way. That Starlight could outthink him.
Yeah, what do you think of Skan?
Well, he has done weird spell things, like it had to be a spell that put all the main 6 in Discord in bubbles.
That's true.
He just constructed those out of materials at hand and stuff.
Yeah, I got no counter for that. What do you think, DJ?
So maybe that doesn't. T-Rex, I think I am kind of leaning. T-Rex does have a lot of brain on him as well.
Yeah, he just shut down most of it near the end of that arc.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess I am kind of leaning more towards T-Rex in that fight, but I could also kind of see it going Starlight's way if she got lucky. But that doesn't really lend her the most credence. The one I don't think would survive it at all is Cozy, sadly. I could see Starlight defending her and falling for the Philly trick, but I could also see T-Rex instantly wiping her out because she's annoying as hell.
That is true. I have an idea, but I'm gonna go last. So, Skan. Everybody starts on an even playing field, but nothing is working against them. How does T-Rex defeat these two opponents?
I think he probably does. Because if they're on an even playing field, one, they do not know how his power works. And two, as we've seen from the show, as he's gaining power, anything stronger than him, he switches to his cleverness side rather than his brute strength side. It's only when there's nothing more powerful than that he switches to the power side over the cleverness side.
So out the starting gate, if he's in a weaker form, he doesn't have any of his muscles yet. How the heck is he going to outsmart the two of the best planners in the series, Cozy Glow and Starlight?
Quite frankly, he could either... Well, one thing is, I think the reason he sneaks around to grab the power is if there's too many ponies to interfere with him. But if it's just the 3 of them there, if he hits her before she knows what's going on, because she has no idea he sucks power, he could drain Starlight, and then what's the little filly gonna do?
Yeah, that's true. Cozy Glow is very much at a disadvantage here. Now, let me pose you my theory for Cozy Glow. And I'm going to ask this of the chat as well. How many more players of Magic the Gathering do we have present with us? Now, I know Skan and I have played a couple of games of Commander before, and Skan has seen me do what I'm about to talk about. So, in Magic the Gathering, there's a character called Krenko, the mob boss. And what Krenko does is, when you use his ability, for however, he's a goblin king, I guess. And whenever you use his ability, he doubles the amount of soldiers or creatures, however you want to call them, on your side. His text is specifically, double the amount of goblins on the field. So if I have 2 and I use his ability, now I have 2 more. And then next turn, I have 4 more, kind of thing. So what I end up doing when I'm playing with Krenko is it very seldom matters what your strategy is. I'm going to overwhelm the heck out of you with numbers 5 turns in, unless you can keep me from using that ability, however you may do so. Krenko is not a very strong character himself, but he makes armies of hundreds and hundreds within a few turns. I believe Cozy Glow would do the exact same thing. If nobody's counting on her to be the sociopath that she is, then she's going to be able to rally everybody on her side, and perhaps even get Starlight on her side before Starlight knows what's going on. Enough people ganging up on a weakened Erick before he gets a chance to really start powering up is going to overcome that. And then it's only a matter of time before Starlight starts doubting herself, and we neutralize her with pure psychology. What do you think about that, Skan?
Okay, it was cutting out quite a bit, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. So basically numbers, Zerg Rush.
But what you've described in the three-on thing, she doesn't have the numbers to join to her side because it's just the 3 of them. She only has 1 she can bring to her side. And if the one she is going to bring to her side is incapacitated before she's gone after, she has no one to bring to her side.
Mm-hmm. So ultimately we're talking a game of hypotheticals that all boils down to who can castle first. That's what it sounds like to me.
Thinking back to the season 4 finale, though, when Erick first appeared, we've seen that he can mass absorb, though. So if anything, Cozy Glow would just be throwing him free food.
Yeah,
we were able to see he was able to absorb an entire theater, a full onslaught of Pegasi, rounded up Earth ponies, all at once, not one by one.
Yeah, and he'd probably, just from the power from Starlight, have enough power to do that to multiple weaker ponies.
And even the theater one was only after absorbing maybe a couple of ponies throughout his whole tenure of running around in the background.
All right, well, that's all I have to say on that. So now we can get into what the chat is saying here. So I've been watching the chat loosely out of the corner of my eye. Admittedly, I haven't been able to pay full attention to it like I would have liked to. But it looks like we got some people in here talking about Daybreaker and whether or not Daybreaker is more powerful than, let's see, we're getting Daybreaker versus Nightmare Moon. We're getting Daybreaker versus Starlight. Let's address that really quick. So Daybreaker versus Nightmare Moon. What do you think, Skan?
I don't think we saw enough of it to understand their actual power level. And most of the things, the 2 of them mostly just monologue and fly around shooting lasers at each other whenever they're kind of addressed in the series.
So I guess we can just expect super powerful lasers rather than any sort of strategy. What do you think,
they haven't
DJ?
Seemed to, like, it didn't look like Nightmare Moon cleverly caught Celestia or something. She just was like, you betrayed me, brah, transformed and attacked her. And Daybreak, I think, even had less of a mentality and even cleverness because she wasn't even actually real. Celestia never became Daybreak. It was a dream world created through the mind, so they'd be simple constructs.
That's interesting. DJ, what do you think about all that?
Going hypothetical, if Daybreak were to happen alongside Nightmare Moon, I think I would actually have to give it to Daybreaker because I see Celestia as stronger than Luna. So if they were forced into that all-out evil state, I would say Celestia would win.
Okay, so we're
I
dealing
think
with...
she was forced to hold back against Nightmare Moon before and had to rely on the elements because she couldn't bring herself to do it.
I think Celestia as herself was not more powerful than Nightmare Moon. Or there's a chance she might have been, but definitely still saw Nightmare Moon as Luna, her sister, rather than wanting to, rather than wanting to harm her. So she definitely wasn't fighting. I think they would have matched, unless you just go with the general concept that, typically the older sibling tends to be the stronger one. I think Nightmare Moon has a little bit more cleverness to her. She was able to test all of the main six individually, between the Manicore, the Shadow Bolts, cutting off the Serpent's, the Stephen Magnet's mustache. So she's got at least some ability to move ahead, understand her opponent, and set up traps. Yeah, Daybreaker seems a lot more brute force to me, and if the battle, so this becomes a coin toss in the sense of if brute force overcomes at the start, brute force is stronger in the short term, cleverness is stronger in the long term, but one of them is going to win. So it's a coin toss in that. So what were you thinking, Skan?
But I have to refer back that the only Daybreak we've seen wasn't imagined from a mind. So we actually don't know anything about what Daybreak's strategy, personality, or anything would be like.
I think it was aggressive Celestia. That's what I can infer there, because if I remember that episode correctly, that was Daybreaker was something that Celestia fought with herself, but unlike Luna was a lot more aware that she had something, that kind of resentment and that kind of desire to just go all out on something and unleash her anger as a part of her, and did more to keep it in check.
I don't think there's enough info.
Any follow-up thoughts on that, DJ? Anything in response to what I suggested?
No, it's just mine was just more on my thoughts of how I see Celestia and Luna. Like, I've always seen Celestia as the Superman and Luna being the Supergirl.
Oh, okay.
So they're extremely powerful beings, but one probably has a lot more experience than the other.
Mm-hmm. So let's take this time now and go to the chat's question. So chat, if you have anything specific you want to address about points that myself, DJ, or Skan have made, or if you have any other questions about anything, feel free to ask them now. I have managed to pick out a couple of questions while I was skimming the chat, and while I'm waiting for you guys to ask more questions, we can go address some of those. Just about all of these are from our friend Xiaomu Smash 14, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Their first one was for Skan, and it says, Skan, where have you been all this time?
In the furry fandom.
In the furry fandom? How dare you? Traitor. You're a furry all this time, and you didn't even tell me. I'm kidding. Yeah. He's got an amazing Rocket Raccoon costume. It was actually, he was actually in the King Somber Ruins BabsCon video. He was the Rocket Raccoon that was in there, and that's your part, Skan, in that video is one of my favorites. It's one of a couple of people's favorites where I talk about just how ugly anything, and I was making fun of fursuiters so much in that thing. I just don't know what it is about that costume that brings out my hatred of fursuits, but I'm just dissing on you. And he goes, if you're calling me ugly, you should look in a mirror. And a lot of people found that hilarious. Let's see, next question. Wait, Tyrek was able to suck out Discord's magic. How does that make it unrelated to the Tree of Harmony's presence? Also, interesting note here that Starlight's magic is tied to her own emotions. So this is probably in response to what I said about comparing the Tree of Harmony to Discord in being more like a spirit rather than an actual living being. So if Tyrek is able to absorb Discord's magic, and Discord is a spirit, so that either means that Discord really is a living thing that just has a whole lot of power through his chaos magic, or it's a plot hole. What do you guys think about that?
Well, it's always been Discord has been described by others as a spirit of chaos as well as himself, but I don't think that necessarily means he is a spirit. It could just be like what he calls himself. He sees himself as the master of all chaos. He calls himself the living embodiment of it.
Okay, so it's more like a MCU Loki thing, where until very recently Loki was the only one who called himself a god.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying? But people like Odin and Thor are saying, no, we're mortals, we just live longer or live differently. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
All right.
That's about right.
So
we haven't seen him do any spirit-like things. Everything just is magic.
Yeah.
Well, the Tree of Harmony, we can literally see through it. It doesn't seem to be like Discord.
That's interesting.
Now, on the Devil Advocate side, the spirit of the Tree of Harmony is still growing, so it's literally in its infancy, and we don't know what it'll end up as, but at this point, they seem to be very different things.
Let's see here.
Discord does have the ego for it.
He definitely does have the ego. I'm not going to argue with you there. And then in that same question, we've got the assertion that Starlight's magic is tied to her emotions. I'm not sure it's tied to her emotions so much as that when she gets emotional, she's likely to do something rash using her magic. What do you guys think about that?
Wait, what was that again?
So, this question that Xiaomu Smash asked, it says it's also interesting to note here that Starlight's magic is tied to her own emotions. So I think that, and I disagree with that. I don't think Starlight's magic is tied to her emotions as much as that she's more likely to do something rash with her magic depending on what kind of mood she's in.
I believe they're quoting from the episode All Bottled Up, is what they're bringing up.
Okay, so go into detail on that with me. What did they say in All Bottled Up? I actually don't remember.
That was the second half of the season 8 premiere in quotations.
7.
Where Trixie was getting Starlight so upset that she was literally having these magic clouds of rage pouring out of her horn and had to seal them away.
Yeah, that much I remember, but
I'm looking through the transcript right now to see if Starlight actually mentioned it.
I'll give you a minute there. In the meantime, Skan, what do you think about that? Oh, did we lose Skan?
Yep.
Yeah, we lost Skan. That's no good.
Just give me a moment here. Let me look at this.
Yep. I'm sorry about that, guys. Let me see if we can find out what happened to Skan. Oh, he suddenly went offline. I'm assuming power went out or something. Nope, there he is. I heard him rejoin the call.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, what happened there, my friend?
I don't know. I think it's, like I said, the internet being funky.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's see here.
Okay, so I'm not seeing Starlight explicitly saying that her magic is fueled by emotion, but her emotions can cause havoc on her magic is basically what I'm getting out of this.
Okay, yeah, so that would be more in line with what I said then. And when she gets into a state like that, because we've never seen anybody else just get angry and have clouds go over her head, over their heads. So I think that's more in line of her being less likely to control herself when she's in that sort of state of mind. Moving on to the next question here. Still by Xiaomu Smash. If we're going by how strong each villain's emotional state is at any given time, which of the villains other than Starlight has the strongest emotional influence to their own magic? So, which of the villains has more of an emotional tie to their own magic? I would say Sombra has the biggest emotional tie to their magic, given how he draws his power from fear. What do you think, DJ?
I would counter back with Chrysalis.
Okay, and what's your reason?
Considering her whole deal is the power of love that feeds herself and her magic.
But does she manipulate love? I don't think she manipulates love so much as she feeds on it.
Well, it's did something to Shining Armor.
Yeah, put him in a stupor.
All right,
Put him in that weird trance-like state.
And Skan, what do you think?
Emotionally attached.
Yeah, admittedly, I'm not 100% certain what they mean by that.
Yeah, because if it's whichever is closest to the magic and tied therefore through the emotions and stuff, I'd have to say Discord because he's one of the embodiments.
Okay, can you give an example of that because he's always seemed very control of himself and then just used his magic as a tool to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, but he's also seems to be straight up the closest one who he lives with magic every single second of the day. Even the unicorns aren't always activating and stuff. It seems like he's never away from magic. He just dwells in magic.
That's interesting.
I don't remember the episode title, but there also was that one where he started to fade away just because he wasn't acting chaotic.
Oh, that was oh shoot, I had it on the tip of my tongue, you jerk. You had to just tell me you didn't remember the name of the episode and make me forget it too. How dare you? All right, so the next...
Was that in an episode, or was that one of the comics?
No, that was an episode.
Was that 8?
Okay.
Yeah, in season 8, he was trying to impress Fluttershy by acting normal. I think somebody made some sort of offhand comment to him, and he took it really personally. Yeah.
I remember the comics instead had a thing where they're losing him to a perfectly orderly
Discordant harmony.
Yeah, that was a chord.
Season 7.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Season 7. I must be coming up on that one in my own schedule then. Alrighty then. So, Daniels if I'm sorry. I know I'm going to butcher all of these names. Eden Daniels says, any thoughts on how powerful Chrysalis actually is, considering she was able to make a perfect clone of Twilight that was more powerful than herself? I think that was more or less just her making a copy of Twilight as she knew it. I think that was more of a spell, pulling from, essentially making a tulpa from a piece of DNA and wood that emulated Twilight to the best of her own projection. And I don't know how much that actually speaks to Chrysalis's power as it speaks to her knowledge of that type of magic, similar to what we might see out of Sunburst, who would know a million places to find a spell like that, but never be able to do it himself. What do you guys think?
I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah, it feels more like that came out of the ritual rather than Chrysalis.
Mm-hmm. All right,
so outside magic source.
That's an easy question there. Redneck Dragon says, I have a question about life as an analysis or in the Brony fandom. I'm sorry guys, I can only read these how they're written here. Please check your grammar for me while you're typing. Completely, or does it feel like DK criticize a lot like how you feel about it. Okay, let's try to extrapolate what this question is, and meanwhile, I'll bet your Redneck Dragon, if he's still in chat, is going to hear that and maybe try to reword it himself. So it sounds like he's asking what it's like to be an analyst in the Brony fandom, and do we think we over-criticize things sometimes? So I'll take that question first here. The whole reason I got into analysis was because the people that were most popular at the time, we're talking back in like 2012, I thought they were interesting to listen to and had decent points sometimes, but missed the point on some other things. So like when everybody was saying King Sombra didn't do anything and was a bad villain, and I was like, what episode did you watch? We must not have watched the same episode that didn't have any of these really cool multi-layered themes that I watched, and that's what got me into wanting to do analysis. So Skan, what do you think about that? How do analysts treat the fandom and the show itself, and how far off the deep end do you think we go?
I'm going to leave this to you guys. I don't do it much.
Oh, okay.
I mostly just watch it myself. I have been learning some of it, but I mean, I suppose I could be said about a lot of internet critics in kind of modern times. There's a lot of negativity out there, but for the Bronies, I don't see it a whole lot. I mean, I suppose you could call it nitpicking for some of them, but I think a lot of it just has too much entertainment value to be caught up in a lot of that negativity. I mean, like with Scorcher and Silver Quill, there's a lot of comedy in it to kind of offset some of the harsher criticisms. And even with those like Voice and Thespio, while some of it can be harsh, there's also some good heart behind it. Even sometimes it's not always making sense.
I think that comes from, at least partially, where you came into the fandom and started digesting this stuff. Now, granted, you've been in the fandom for a while. When I started watching Brony content, Digibrony was really popular. Tommy Oliver, Brony Curious was his name at the time, was really popular. T-Bap was really popular. Early A&Y, early Golden Fox, things like that. And yeah, these guys tended to, in my opinion, miss the point an awful lot, and then nitpick too much on a lot of things that didn't even really matter, at least in my opinion. So that was when Thespio and Josh Scorcher and Silver Quill started becoming more popular. They imparted a lot more entertainment value and creativity into the medium than some of the classic ones did. All right, let's move on to the next question here. Let me try to get this name right. I'm going to get one name right before I end this stream tonight, I swear to God. Ventus Anime Girl. Ventus Anime Girl. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too badly. Hey, Brony. Hey, that's me. What are your thoughts on Grogar? Given he was able to keep multiple villains under hoof and give Tyrick enough power to return him to his powerful form. So, I'm going to end up eating all of my words tonight. I am fairly certain. Grogar, in terms of both power and intelligence, does seem like he has a leg up over any of the other villains that we've had so far. I just haven't seen him do it yet, which is why I didn't put him down as my main for tonight. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know where he's going yet.
We just haven't seen enough of him. Maybe by the end of the season, we'll see whether or not how strong he is, what his plans are. But at the moment, there's just too many unknowns.
Too many unknowns. I agree.
Yeah. Plus, with the cleverness thing, I'd really think when you send a couple of people who really don't like you and are very sneaky to go get you an item and they say they didn't get an item, I'd kind of think that you had that item.
Yeah, and the first place I would look would be in my castle, and then you know what would happen after that? I'd find it. Because they're idiots.
But then again, it's not over yet, and for all we know, they just didn't betray anything on his face in that episode, and we'll find out in a later episode he knew all along.
Oh my god, I was just about
That's
to
what
say,
I'm
as
waiting to
long as they don't do that anime crap where the writers try to make a villain that's smarter than they're smarter than the writers themselves. Aha! I knew all the time that you really just hid my bell in my own castle. And you played right into my hands! Or, frick, I wonder if I can do a Grogar voice. I would need to have heard Grogar a little bit more. That was only a taste of my power! Imagine what I can do when I get my bell back! Something along those lines, I think.
It looks like you were close on the question asker's name, Brony. It looks like it's supposed to be Ventus, anime girl.
Alrighty then. What did I say? I think I said Ventus.
Yeah.
Alright, well, from now on I'm going to vent us about how bad that name is. Neon Sphinx Foster says, Hey Brony, if you're reading this, how much would you consider the Wendigos as villains themselves? They nearly destroyed all life thanks to the winter they caused after all. First of all, Neon Sphinx Foster, there are 2 other people on this stream. You don't need to just single out me. I'm sure that's some kind of prejudice, but we're above that in here. I'm joking with you. I don't mean any of that stuff. The Wendigos are a very interesting concept. So are they malicious on purpose? Are they villains? Were they created by something? Did they just spawn out of negative emotion? What we don't know about the Wendigos is how much sapience they have and what they can do with it. Are they just attracted to discord between tribes, or are they created out of it? That's a question. What do you guys think? How much do the Wendigos count as villains?
I don't know what they count as.
I've seen them more as like the animalistic version of the sirens. They're just attracted to it. They're not doing it out of malice. It's just what they are. They're like animals. It's just a hazard of having them around.
Yeah, anything that can cause an eternal winter like that. There was actually a fan comic just recently that came out and was really funny. It was in fact, it might have just been a picture, might have just been a single frame, but essentially Twilight comes in the room, and sitting on the couch is Starlight and Trixie, and they say, and Starlight yells at Twilight, "Shut the door! You're letting the cold mare out!" And up above their heads, you see these Wendigos just flying around the room. I'm assuming acting as air conditioning. So the question, be it then, is who the heck is just off screen trying to kill each other, that these things can be sustained. Or maybe
Luna's in the other room having gamer rage.
Or maybe Starlight's just like sitting next to the couch and she's got a nice face on, but under that she's like still salty about all bottled up. It's like, you didn't even say you were sorry. You teleported the whole table on the other side of town, didn't even know where you put it. You're impulsive, you're reckless. No, I was right to sell your cart. No, you weren't, Starlight. Get out of here. What do you think, Skan? Any thoughts on that at all?
No, I don't. They're not really addressed. They even give it the impression that they might even be made up for the story.
That's an interesting
so we don't
theory.
Even know if they actually exist in the world.
That is an interesting theory.
But the spirit of Heartswarming Future said so.
You know, but since it turns out that Starswirl the Bearded is still alive, we can ask him. We can ask him about the Wendigos. He was there for it. Because Clover the Clever was Starlight.
Myths don't happen to stay as myths for very long in this world.
Yeah, I guess
Even
so.
the recent ones like Daring do.
All right, let's see what else we've got here. JJ Dash says, "Hey, it's me from the last stream. Are you coming to the party at BronyCon?" JJ, get with me in private on Twitter or Tumblr or something like that. There's I got questions. I'd love to see you at BronyCon, and I'd love to say hi. Hopefully, these guys will be there as well. But I have no idea what to do about that or anything. So get with me privately, and we'll see if we can figure that out. What other questions do we have here? Okay, Elizabeth Osborne says, would that be a great possibility of ancestor or descendant of Miss Main due to their similar designs, curved horns, and wisp-like manes? I'm guessing so the Wendigos are a descendant or an ancestor of Mistmane. That's a pretty interesting theory. I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I think Mistmane really had more of like a Far Eastern aesthetic
I think they were
to
referring
her.
to the Wendigos.
Okay, then maybe I'm referring.
Sounds like they might be referring to Sombra.
There was a headcanon floating around the fandom for a little while that King Sombra was the ancestor or some sort of relative to Princess Platinum.
I mean, it's hard to tell. We've gotten 1,000 years run around, but we don't know, like, what's in between those years.
Yep. Now,
Like
a whole lot
it takes
of
Celestia and Luna to grow up.
a whole lot of Celestia being the best princess. That's what was in the 1,000 years, and we missed it. I was born in the wrong age. Who has the audacity to ring my phone while I'm on stream? Pardon me 1 second.
See, now, if the comic writers want to do something cool, go into some more of the history of the ponies in the 1,000 years there. Give us like a full timeline of events that led up to Nightmare Moon or something.
That would be
Well,
really
the comics
nice.
did address where Sombra came from.
That's true. Let's see here. What else do we have? We've got a little under 3 minutes here. Let's see here. I'm not seeing. Okay. Are the
Looks like they said they were
Wendigos
referring to Gusty the Great as being the ancestor to Mistmane.
Well, I guess we'll find out. At
Yeah, we
least
don't
I
know
hope
much
we'll
about
find
her.
out. I could use
only
more
have-
Miss Main, that's for sure. Are the Wendigos the reason why the Crystal Empire has constant snow? I think that's a stretch. I think they're referring to things being more so in the north. So, if we apply the same sort of logic to our own planet, then things get colder as you go up towards the poles, especially during the winter time, further away from the sun. Fun stuff like that. I don't know as much about it as I should, but I think that's more of what they're doing rather than it being some sort of afterthought of the Wendigos. But I won't deny the possibility, because the reason why the other tribes left and their homes and made new land together as Equestria was because that had all gotten all frozen over. What do you guys think?
It's possible. I mean, there are a lot of cultures that have grown in the north only to move south later in their times.
And the Yaks are still up there.
Yeah, but the Yaks are the Yaks.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
They're probably too stubborn to find a better life somewhere else.
That is very true. I was so mad at not asking for trouble for making me relate to those freaking Yaks. Let's see. Reflective Vagrant says, what do you think of lightning dust in the washouts? Do you think that would be a villain with seeking gain, with the endangering of Scootaloo against her will, or just delinquent? So is lightning dust in the washouts a villain or just an antagonist or a delinquent, or however we want to word that. We got a minute here.
I actually haven't seen that episode, so I can't comment on it.
Fix that. It's a great episode. Skan, what do you think?
So it was cutting in and out. What's the question?
Okay, is Lightning Dust in the washouts a villain? Did she do what she was doing on purpose, or is she just a misguided delinquent, an antagonist in shorter terms?
I seem to keep missing like the key words.
Okay, what are you missing? Lightning Dust, villain, washouts?
Okay. So Lightning Dust, what about Lightning Dust?
Okay, so Lightning Dust was putting Scootaloo in danger in the washouts. Was she doing that on purpose? Or was she doing that on...
I don't think she was doing it on purpose, because it just lines up with what she did, which pissed off Rainbow Dash.
Okay, so it's a lot more of...
She's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, DJ. I'm glad you said it so I didn't have to. All right, guys. I think this was good. We're going to call it here. Thanks to everybody who came out and asked questions and participated in the chat. I saw some good conversations going on in there. I had some great conversations with you guys today. I'm looking forward to doing it again in 2 weeks. Because next week on Friday, we're going to be doing Friday Night Fights. So as always, guys, if you want to suggest a topic for Brony Debates, you can tweet at me. You can send me an email. You can get with me on Tumblr. If you're a patron supporter, you can make the suggestions on my Discord server. Shout outs to all of my Patreon supporters, especially DJ Skywalker right here. Who's at, the $10 and up tier, him and Autoknight, Sodengirder, Senko, Jennan, Kellogg, Kyle Christensen, Mike's Geek World, and the Equestrian City Heroverse series. Thanks again for coming out, guys. I love y'all. Have a great day. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
I knew
Good
one
night,
of you was going to
everybody.
do it. Catch you later.